Well, both of them, because one is Counterblast 1, draw a card, and the other one is Energy Blast 3, draw a card.
Ah, that's not good.
Hey everyone, this is Kermit. I bring you another standard match. Today we are going to be seeing, I think, the first introduction of this deck onto my channel. Of course, that's going to be Direful Dolls, being piloted by who else but my teammate, Josh. This is his deck for set 1. He seems to really like it. So let's go ahead and see how it goes up against a really old deck that I think I commented on for like 2 seconds back in my... not my deck profile, my tier list, which is actually going to be Hexaorb. So let's see how Hexaorb can actually do. You know, she does still kind of benefit from a lot of the good generics, but she does, you know, need a lot of extra support, and honestly, just kind of not there right now. Anyways, we are going to be discarding a Spiral Cutie there, drawing a card, and then of course using the starter effect in order to draw yet another card. So we're starting off here with, you know, a decent amount of cards in hand. It looks like we are going to be going for that Cellgown turn 1, which is, in this format, definitely a pretty common play. Just slap it down, kind of guarantee some damage, get some advantage, dig deeper into the deck. It's very much like, okay, why not? Might as well push, because you can. But anyways, you see the ride up into the grade 2 Direful Doll. I'm going to be activating the skill of the grade 1, so check the top 7, and then you choose 2 Direful Dolls, and you're going to put them into your soul. Looks like we're going to hit 1, being that grade 2, and then a second one being the copy of the grade 1. Just going to be putting both of them into the soul, getting ourselves set up for that next turn. I think those are, they're okay targets. I think what you're looking for is maybe like the multi-attacker or the grade 3. I think you just kind of need to get them in circulation as quickly as possible. But you know, Direful Dolls is a decently consistent deck, so you should probably get there, whether you get it off the ride line or not. But it looks like we do have another copy of, is that the grade 2? No, that's not the one I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of a different one. But we're just going to call down this grade 1 here, do a little bit of rushing. We don't really have any guaranteed damage here, but it looks like we're going to swing the Van first hit, get into a heal trigger, heal down to 0, and then swing in for a very nice 18. Not sure why we decided to take that. Like, we had that 15k guard, like, you might as well commit it there. If that had been a crit, you would have been really boned, because, you know, I don't know. I don't know. It's just, like, kind of preference. Like, I'm always scared of them hitting a crit, so, like, I would just, like, put a 15k down, and then if they have, you know, the other rear guard to give the power to, then it's, like, kind of annoying. Anyways, we see the Biscotti being discarded this time, as well as using the skill of the grade 1, counterblasting 1 when it is written over, in order to draw a card, and then of course using the Biscotti herself to Energy Blast 3, and then just draw yet another card. So still maintaining a pretty decently sized hand here. We haven't even been guarding, but we are at 2, so that might be a little bit concerning. So we're going to be calling down a Cellgown, as well as a, I forget what that one, it's a Divine Sister. She gets like 5k while you have 2 grade 3s in your soul. Not really sure why we're playing that in Hexaorb. Does Hexaorb put like 2 grade 3s in the soul very often? Like, it doesn't really seem that much. I mean, like, it's a 15k attacker, but you're gonna have to wait so long for it to become a 15k attacker. So it's usually like not worth it. Anyways, we do see critical trigger coming on down here, smacking Joshua for 2 damage, and then we're just gonna be taking the last swing, which will be 33, and hitting into another heal trigger, healing down back to 2. Of course, he's going to get another Cellgown there. Just Cellgown, proving that he is just one of the, like, most solid cards for Keter. I guess that's putting it a little bit nicely. Anyways, using the skill of the grade 2, calling it out, and then putting another Direful Doll into the soul. We'll be putting in the multi-attacker there, giving the Vanguard in itself 5k. Especially since we're going up against grade 2 Vanguard, that's going to be a very nice magic number. Going to be using the Android skill there. His name's not Android. His name is actually Androld, which it's kind of, if you don't pay attention, it kind of just looks like Android, right? Anyways, we do only get a call 2 because you do call up to your opponent's Vanguard's grade. So we're just gonna be calling, is that another grade 2 behind the other grade 2? I don't know. I think that might be the grade 1. But using the grade 1 there, binding it, and then choosing 2 Direful Dolls from your drop zone. putting them into your soul, and then of course using the multi-attacker to Energy Blast 3 and bind it, calling a different Direful Doll from the soul. And then of course that grade 3, when it is placed on either van or rear, you do get to choose another doll and just put it into the soul there. So just gonna be swinging the Vanguard for that 18. Probably not gonna be guarding that, drive checking into over trigger there. So that is pretty rough. That means effectively, unless you have a PG, that's 3 damage, giving you the extra 100 million. And then I think we just added a Direful Doll. So we do get a defensive there, so that's a little okay, I guess. But we're gonna take 2 damage. We've got this other attack, which is still swinging for 28. That's still 10k to 15k guard. If we have a draw trigger, but I think we're playing fronts, so that's probably just gonna be a 15k guard. You do if you don't have a PG, you do have to guard this. So we're just gonna guard with that 15k critical trigger there, using the grade 1 to bind it, and then swing for the 100 million. Honestly, you can just take this, so it's not really worth wasting a PG. Although you do have to be a little bit wary because you know, grinding out Direful Dolls is a bit of a problem because they are a very tanky deck. But on the other hand, like, being at higher damage, I've noticed, is kind of a way to play around Direful Dolls. Like, you kind of, if they heal down, that's like the worst possible thing that can happen to you. So being at the higher damage is pretty decent against Direful Dolls, and that tends to be my strategy when I go up against the deck. So we do see the grade 2 checking the top 3 and placing them in any order, and then the Biscotti being used after that to draw one of the cards that we did just see. So now that we're finally on Hexaorb, we possibly can start doing things, but at the same time, you know, Hexaorb is kind of just a turn 4 deck. It's very slow in the sense that you do need to Persona Ride, and the fact that, you know, if you play base Hexaorb, you're kind of banking on triggers in order to do a lot. But as we see this very weak turn here, the Vanguard just swing for a very easy 13. That's a pretty easy, like, 15-2 to pass, especially since, you know, they didn't put a booster, so they can't really give an extra 10k off of Hexaorb's skill for hitting a trigger. But at the same time, you know, as Direful Doll player, you do maybe want to take a damage, and, like, they can't even kill you here with a double crit, so you might just be fine to take this. But looks like we're going to be using the Androld skill to guard from the bind zone, and then guard with another intercept. We're going to give him an extra 5k shield, and I think that one is a 15k shield as well. Actually, no, I think it's 210k, so that's 33. So we're going to see a critical trigger here being flipped, giving all the effects to the Vanguard, and then giving an extra 10k Dex and Hexaorb skill to the other rear guard. And we do see the second drive check being another critical trigger, so that is actually going to be able to push down 3 damage into Direful Doll. So we do see a draw trigger, and then a heal trigger, the third one of the game, might I add, and then of course a nothing there. So Vanguard is going to be stuck at 33. Even with the extra 10k off of the Hexaorb from hitting those 2 triggers, neither of these other rear guards are going to be able to hit, so that is going to be the end of the turn, which is actually a little bit unfortunate for Doll's player here, because part of what makes of the Doll's strategy, I should say, is that you attack into them a lot, and they use their cards from bind, and they get extra effects when using those cards from the bind zone. So making it so that those cards get stuck in the bind zone does kind of hamper their strategy just a little bit, especially like that grade 3. It means they can't use that grade 3 to, like, set up their soul a little bit more. So it does kind of put some work in their I don't know what I'm trying to say. Anyways, let's get on to the battle. So we've got another 2 columns here, like looking exactly like last turn, except we know we got 2 multi-attackers, so we've technically gone up to, we could go up to 5 attacks here. But, you know, we still do have that sizable hand, so, like, guarding all this shouldn't be that big of a problem, even with the 5 attacks here, as we were going to be calling out, I think that's a copy of the grade 3. Yep. I know Glare's a little bit bad here, but thankfully Joshua puts his cards over the glare in such a way that we can easily see what it is. So we get this other column for 30, so that's going to be 20k guard. If we had kept the front instead of guarding with it last turn, that'd be an easy 1-card guard, but it's looking like we might have to commit like 2 cards here, just to, you know, guard it, unless we do have another front trigger, because that's like a 15k plus any 5k. Definitely not kind of not what you want to be doing, because you do need to keep a lot of combo pieces. Looks like we're going for that, the 5k and the 15, of course, and then multi-attacking once again. doing the Energy Blast 7, calling out the grade 2, using its skill, putting something into the soul, giving an extra 5k to itself and the Vanguard. So this Vanguard is going to be swinging for a very, let's say problematic, very good magic number there of 28. Gonna be PGing that, and then of course you discarding the Angel ladder there, which, you know, totally makes sense. Like, it doesn't really do anything in this matchup because, like, your Direful Dolls isn't gonna do any retiring unless they're randomly playing like Makani or a, what's it called, that stupid grade 2 from set 9. You guys know which one I'm talking about, the one that counterblasts and puts everything in soul. Anyways, we see a double trigger there. 2 crits, and that means you do desperately have to guard everything here. Just gonna be guarding that attack there with the 2 triggers. Probably deciding what, how much we want to guard there. So looks like another 5k, and then we are going to be guarding this last one with a PG. And you keen-eyed viewers are going to notice that that's kind of a cheat, because that specific PG is you know, that's the one that you always have to discard for cost. It's not a DPG, like, you know what I'm talking, the effect PGs. Honestly, it doesn't really matter. We saw an effect PG used. Theoretically, you could have just done the same thing. Like, if you use that PG first and then use the other PG second, it's the same thing. So yeah, that is a little bit of a cheat, but, you know, it's a small one, and we don't really care about, like, small things like that. But anyways, Hexaorb finally getting their Persona right, so this is going to be their big make it or break it turn, as we do see a ton of stacking here. We see 3 units being called, using their skills to check the top cards of the deck, adding them, bot decking them, using something like Spiral Cutie, pretty much using all of our counterblast here. Also using that one grade 1 to Soul Blast 1 and rest it, checking the top cards again, and, you know, just continuing to stack and, you know, going through the deck. But we do only have 1 card left in hand, so if we're not able to finish things this turn, things might get a little bit dicey. But we do see a Cell Gown being called here over that Spiral Cutie. So looks like we're putting everything we've got into this turn, which definitely makes sense. I don't know if you can withstand another attack like that. This first attack swing for 25, that is going to be a pretty easy 15k guard here. We're going to be using the skill, the Bind Zone. That grade 1 gets an extra 5k shield thanks to its own skill, and then Androld is going to give you another 5k, so it is a 15k guard there. So pretty easy, not even committing any cards from hand. This Hexaorb, being a little bit threatening, is going to be a 23. We're going to be guarding with the grade 3 there, just to, you know, set up, putting some more cards in soul, and then of course we're just going to be PGing that, discarding the Lamaine. So we've got our 3 drive checks because we are on Persona Ride, and we'll give it an extra 10k. First check is going to be that red over trigger there. And unfortunately, we are going to see a little bit of a cheat here, a second cheat, because the way that red OT works is it does actually choose a standing rear guard. And if you notice, we tried applying the effects to that rested rear guard. And I know that it's going to be restanding with, like, Hexaorb skill, but correct me if I'm wrong, I do believe you have to finish resolving the trigger effects before you can actually activate any auto skills. So I think you have to choose the target for the red OT before you can actually activate Hexaorb's skill, which means that there was only 1 valid target. So it doesn't make that huge of a difference. Obviously, the reason we wanted to give it to that rear guard is because it would it's not being boosted by a Cell Gown, obviously, so the other one is that much more powerful. But still, we've got 200 million attacks here, since we are going to be just, you know, playing with the cheat, but, you know, whatever. So we are going to need 2 PGs. We're going to be using the Androld skill to kind of continue to set up our soul here. Like I said, during the last turn, you do definitely want Androld does definitely, the Direful Dolls, I guess, just want you to attack them multiple times so they can use up their Bind Zone and then just get a bunch of utility by doing that. Yeah. Another funny thing to mention is that Hexaorb does add an extra 10k to, you know, your trigger effects, so that front trigger gave an extra 20k, and the what's it called, the over trigger actually gave 100 million and 10, which is kind of funny to think about. But this last swing is a pretty big 53, regardless, you know, of everything. as we're going to be discarding, we're going to be guarding, intercepting, and then adding 2 more shields in order to, you know, actually get up to that 53 there. So I guess we're just double checking. So it's a 15k guard, a 10k guard, a 20k guard, and another 10. So that's 30, 40, and then 58, I believe. Yeah, that should be right, because all the Direful dolls are getting an extra 5k shield thanks to Androld. Of course, using the Cell Gown here, so going to be checking top 2. So we do end up with 4 cards in hand, but at the same time, you still are in a kind of bad situation. Like, unless you got a whole bunch of shield, you're not really looking very good here, because, you know, you've used up 2 PGs, so, like, you're kind of not really looking that good. Did we start with the Persona Ride? No, I think we missed the Persona Ride, but we've got double multi-attack here. We won't be able to use them because, you know, we don't have enough energy for that, but still, you know, hitting for 28 is still a pretty decent number here. As we're going to guard, intercept, just using every little bit of our remaining resources in order to just, like, you know, desperately guard. But still, that being said, even if we are able to, like, defend ourselves this entire turn, unless we can keep Persona Ride, we don't really have that good of a chance. But anyways, we see the grade 3 being called off of the grade 2, using skills to put another grade 3 into the soul, just kind of continuing to set up. So we're going to be taking this Vanguard's attack, seeing the triple drive, we see nothing, but a very big defensive critical trigger here, and going to be basically shutting down, like, a lot of these attacks, because I think this one might be 18 or 13. But this other one should still be like 28, I think, or 33. So that's still going to be able to hit, and that's still going to call for a decent amount of shield there. So we can guard for 43. Going to be binding that grade 1. And then this other attack is, oh, it's still for 23. I think I might have missed something, but it doesn't matter. Guarding for the 20k guard there, which is interesting. Like, maybe we should have intercepted there because, you know, you do have a fresh grade 2 behind it. But I do understand why we didn't do that, because that grade 2 specifically is a 15k attacker, whereas the thing behind it I don't think necessarily is. But, you know, maybe if you wanted to, like, what's it called? Save on resources, I guess. Like, you kind of just wasted a lot of shield there. But at the same time, are you really living another turn? This is like your last hurrah. Anyway, so passing back to Hexaorb, looks like they do not have the Persona Ride, so we're just going to be going for a Drilling Angel here, putting something in the soul, maybe trying to get lucky, hit one of those cards that can, like, scry you, check the top cards, maybe stack a trigger, and hopefully have that be enough to actually just, you know, close the game out. So really our only hope here is to get a bunch of triggers and, you know, actually deal with things. So we're going to be attacking into the intercept there. Definitely makes sense. It's a 10k guard. So you might as well do that. Like, it's not really always, like, you can't hit the Vanguard anyway. Swing the Vanguard for 21, a decent number. Like, it's definitely like a 2-card guard here, but at the same time, like, that's very not threatening, especially if you're looking at the bind zone of the dolls player. But at the same time, you gotta see they have a ton of cards in hand, including that cat that we saw off the drive check. So they're honestly on no shortage of shield. Going to be guarding with that grade 2, which I believe should be just 10k guard. So it's going to be 23, a 1 to pass right now. Then guarding with the cat is going to be allowing us to, you know, put 2 cards, adding another 30k guard, making it a 30k guard. So we do actually see a trigger here at 20k, or a critical trigger there. Deciding where we want to put the effects, looks like we're going to give it all to the Drilling Angel there. But of course, this is a 20k attack, and if you're just looking at the bind zone for Direful dolls, that is, like, such an easy guard. Like, any card is a 1k guard there. We're just going to be using grade 3 in order to, you know, continue to stack our soul, and looks like we're going to just do one final. Oh, we're not even going to bother attacking with that, but we're just going to go ahead and scoop it up there and just, you know, take that last damage. So that's going to be the end of the match. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to those you think, so like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.